Have you created a system or routine in your life and then all of a sudden look back and realize it has fizzled into nothing? Let's talk today about some ways that we can keep those systems going strong. My name is Angie. Welcome to my channel, Quite a Confident Woman. My passion is building confidence in women, especially introverted women. And I love doing that through supporting you in creating systems that bring calm to the chaos. If you love what you hear, make sure to subscribe and also like this video. If you feel like you are missing out from not getting an email with helpful tips every single week, make sure to subscribe to that email in the notes. First of all, before you go bringing a system back from the dead, ask yourself, did it work? And if it didn't, let it be. And if you're like, no, it did, but I encountered these stumbling blocks, or it did to a point, well, then let's resurrect it and see if some of these tips we can implement into your system to create something that's solid and strong and that will be with you long term. The first thing you want to do is be able to create a system that you can have consistency with and also to maintain. So it could look like something that maybe you just add in a couple of pieces. Maybe you see the vision and the end result, but that requires tons of layers. And if you would dive into everything, it would be really, really challenging to maintain that. But you could add a little bit and maintain that for a while, then add in a little bit more and just kind of build in that aspect. Or maybe it's something that you want to do every single day, but right now it's only a couple times a month that you do it. So instead of going from 0 to 100, you're just going to start with a day or two a week, and then you're going to build consistently. So not only do you want that consistency and the ability to maintain it when you start, but you also want that long term. The second thing is to make sure that your system has flexibility. If something is super, super rigid, when life happens, someone gets sick, seasons change. So if maybe you have children that are going to be on summer break soon and the system you build is not going to look so great during the summer as it does during the school year, if it doesn't have some type of flexibility to it, it's going to be really challenging to keep that system long term. So make sure that there's a little bit of play in there for times where your weeks are more abundant, or times where there's life that's happened, or a certain schedule change that you may or may not be aware of. So that flexibility will allow some give or take within that system. Realistic expectations. That is number 3. When you are building a system, you want to think about how this is going to play out in your life. Are you able to add these things in realistically? If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, and it's really something you want to move forward with, ask yourself, okay, how can I make that happen? What needs to change? What can I adjust in order to make that realistic? If your life you are feeling is packed to the max and you're adding something else in it, it's probably not realistically going to stay unless something else is removed. It's kind of like the drawer that you have packed full, whether it's like a catch-all drawer, a junk drawer, whatever, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put this thing in here, and you open it and like things come spilling out, and there's like no way anything else can stay in there, and definitely not stay in there comfortably. We don't want to do that to our life either. The whole point of creating a system is to go from chaos to calm, not to add more chaos into your life. So make sure it's realistic. Number 4 is identify roadblocks or obstacles. Now, this is not to say that we're going to look at all of the things that may go wrong. I tend to have that type of personality, so I feel ya if that is you. Let's still come to this with a positive mindset that this is something we can definitely accomplish, but let's also be realistic at the same time. Are there certain things that have come up? Maybe you brought a system back from the dead and you're like, it did work, but this happened. Okay, that would be a roadblock. Or maybe you know that a schedule is going to be shifting in a couple of months. So it could be maybe you're working 30 hours a week right now and you're going to be working 50 hours a week in a couple of months because it's a busier season for you. Or perhaps you're in a school schedule right now and in a month or two you'll be in summer schedule, which may change different systems and routines that you have in place. So be realistic about the things that are going to happen and kind of think ahead on that. Another one is loss of motivation. If that is something that you have seen in the past when you've created a system or created some kind of a structure and it's fallen through, what are you going to do when you have a loss of motivation? How are you going to navigate that? Now, it may not be where you have to have a solution for everything that may or may not happen in the future, but if you know in your heart of hearts that, okay, this system will be great during the school year, but summer, I'm not quite sure how it's going to work, and summer is literally around the corner, then definitely it's something that you're going to want to think about to navigate ahead of time. So when you get to that point, your system can maintain itself and keep going strong. Number 5 is self-compassion. Ooh, this is such a good one. Such a good one. No one is perfect. And especially for perfectionists out there, we feel like if we don't do it 100%, it just can't get started. Starting is better than not starting. And what if you do it 80%? What if you give yourself grace on the days that you miss your goal by 100%? Let me give you an example. So say you, one of your systems that you have in place is to clean up the kitchen every single night before you go to bed. There's no dishes on the counter, everything is put away, the counters are wiped off. So when you get up in the morning to prepare breakfast before school, at least that's our schedule. So when you get up to prepare breakfast before school, you have a clean kitchen to work with, you don't have dishes that are laying all over, and it is less stressful to start your morning right away. Now, say that didn't happen one day. You didn't have the energy. You just didn't feel like it. You were sick, whatever the case may be. Give yourself grace that it didn't happen that time and get back on the horse. Nothing was made or broken with one time. Okay? Nothing was made or broken in one time. So if it happens, which it probably will, that you've missed or you maybe got off the horse a couple days in a row, just get back on and keep moving forward. It'll be okay. Next is to review and adjust. Now, I will caution you with this one to know yourself. So if you feel that you are someone who starts something and then someone else is like, oh, I'm doing this and having really great success, and you're like, oh, I need to do that too. And then you toss what you were doing and jump onto the next thing, and that seems to be your pattern, then I would say pick a time frame that you are going to keep this system, that you're not going to change it. You're just going to keep going until you see how it plays out. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 2 months, whatever you feel you want to do. Now, also the flip side of that, I don't want you to be in a system for a month or 2 months where you jump in and you're like, this clearly needs some adjusting. We can do all of the planning that we want, and until it's actually played out in real life, we really don't know how it's going to all fall into place. So if you start your system and you're thinking, okay, this is good, but this portion it clearly needs adjusting, it's okay to adjust. Just don't toss the whole system and come back. One example I'll give you in my life is when I was creating a meal plan for our family. It was sitting down, figuring out what meals we are going to have for a week, and then planning the grocery list, and then going grocery shopping, and then, of course, prepping those meals during the week. And it worked fantastically. The system was great, but it felt like as soon as I sat down to plan out the meals, I literally had to sit down the next day to plan them out again. It's not something that I immensely enjoy, and it was just happening too frequently. So I decided this system, like there's really good parts in this system, but I do not like sitting down every single week and figuring it out. So I switched it to once a month. Once a month. And I have to tell myself every time I sit down that once a month is, you know what? It's only 12 times a year. I can do this 12 times a year. And, if we're in April and I'm like, okay, I have done this 4 times already this year. I only have 8 more times to go. And look at that. I'm done with this month. Now I'm down to 7. So, sometimes you have to play those games with yourself in order to hype yourself up, keep you moving forward. And that's okay. And it's okay to adjust when you need to, even if your system is not fully functioning yet, because you aren't going to know that until you put things into play. But as a caution, don't be switching and tossing frequently before you know how everything is going to play out as well. All right, step number 7, the final step, is to celebrate the small wins. Celebrate those wins. Now, you may feel like this is not going fast enough. It's just not going fast enough. I wanted to create a system, have it all in play in 2 months, and here we are in month 6, and it still seems hard, and I don't have all the pieces in play. That's okay. It could take a year, but remember, the goal is to make this as a lifestyle change, not just something you're going to create for a couple of months and then toss it to the wayside. You want it to help you decrease the stress in your life long term, and that takes time, and we don't want it to feel immensely hard, and so adding in small layers is going to make that progress stick for a lot longer than diving right in. Think of it this way. If you were to take giant steps, like huge steps, like it was super hard. Maybe you had a ladder and like the distance was super, super long. And then maybe you had another ladder and the distance was really, really short. And the person that had the ladder that had that super long distance, it took everything they could to get to that next rung of the ladder. They had to pull themselves up with all of their weight. They were sweating. They failed several times. It was just really hard. And the person that had just that little bitty step, they were able to take several steps. Now, did they step way more frequently than the person with the ladder with the longer distance? Absolutely. But did it feel as stressful and as hard? No. Should you celebrate yourself for those small steps that you take? Absolutely. Absolutely. You're creating steps towards a life that you desire, a life that you love. You're creating something that you want to maintain forever. And that is something to celebrate all along the journey. The end result is fantastic. That's what we're going for. But that journey to get to that end result needs celebrating as well. All right, my friend, you are well on your way to creating systems that are here for long term. Will there be bumps in the road? Will there be detours? Absolutely. But I know that you'll be able to navigate that with self-compassion and with grace. And if you feel you need someone to be there to walk alongside you to help create these systems to navigate the bumps and all of those things along the way, please reach out. I would love to chat with you. There is a link in the notes where you can be directed to my calendar and set up a complimentary time that we can just talk and see if we're a good fit, if I can support you in creating a life of calm from a life of chaos. I'll see you next time, my friend.